I'm going to use the Phonograms 1 assessment from Benchmark Assessment System 1 to show you exactly what I mean by making the most out of each assessment. How it's not just about accuracy, not just a plus or a minus. That's nice to know, but what you need to know is exactly how the child approached the word and how and why they were successful and unsuccessful in their accurate solve. Marie Clay says, make your child specify precisely how the child responds. That's the good stuff you need for instruction and coaching that individual child in and out of context. And the last thing I would say is when you're done with any of these assessments, seize the moment for one learning opportunity for that child. So the principles I'm going to show you here on the Phonograms assessment can really apply to any decoding assessment that you're working on. For example, if the child was reading and they got not right away, I could just put a check mark. That's fine. That tells you they got it right away. There was no visible solving. But if I just did this, rather than noting the reading behaviors, that's not going to answer the question for me. Is it strategic activity that held the child back, or is it item knowledge of letters and sounds? So let me show you what I mean on man. One example of how a child could solve it is and man. Okay, that tells me, and I'm looking around my camera here, so I'll do my best, that they said each sound and then they put it together. They could do this. S, it, sit. Now I don't care if you use, a dash or a dot. I tend to use dots just because they take just very little room. But look at this. If they did h, een, heen, that tells me they were able to isolate those sounds and put them back together in a word, but the misconception is an item knowledge. It wasn't in their strategic activity. It was that he is using a long E for a short E sound in that word hen. Okay, I can coach that child differently than if they did this, p, an, nap, right? And then I tend to do this check flag. That's more concerning. That tells me they had the item knowledge, but the strategic activity to put that back and listen to themselves in sequence was not there for that child. I'm going to work on that differently than I am this. This, I'm going to do some real, focus and repeated practice on short vowels. This, I might be doing some phonemic awareness work in isolation with that child at the beginning or end of lesson every day, and watching them as they're encoding to see how that plays out there. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you're doing, like let's say they do d, a, day. Or if they do this, f, at, and they don't put the word back together, do they need to understand once they have segmented each sound, it needs to go back together. So that's why I show each action the child took, either a dash or a dot to show separate actions, and then did they put the word back together in a whole. Let's say the child went og, dog. That would be a self-correction. So I could do this too. Ape, nape, or nap. Okay. You're noting, did they monitor? Here the child was maybe monitoring for meaning, maybe recognizing that, A also says so it's nap. We don't know unless we have a larger sample size to see the patterns in the child's response. Let's see, if a child just says, I don't know, I wrote down DK, I don't know. And then just like on a writing record, I might say, you try it. And then maybe they just give me a first sound, okay? Every attempt is going to tell you something about the way that child responds. Okay, do they add, do they do t, ip, tilp? We've all had children like that insert or delete sounds. So when I'm using this for a first grader, I might not even use all 20 words first. I might be just trying to get a sample size. I might use 10. But over time, as you can see, the first word list is all short vowels, CVC, with the exception of that word day there. Then we've got consonant blends and digraphs, still CCVC. Then we get into our long vowels. Okay, some even with 3-letter blends at the beginning, some with 2, some with just C, V, C, E. And when we get into list 4, you have some soft C and soft G, You have, let's see, yeah, this just gets a little more complex. So I might, if a child does really well in this list, I might not do it again. I might not need that for that child. I might notice there's an issue with blends, and I might use this to monitor.